Sometimes, a story doesn't necessarily need a sequel. However, even if there aren't any loose ends to tie up or anything, sometimes you just really want to see all your favorite characters again and go on more adventures with them. Some sequels can be really remarkable and just as good as the original, and one of those is Ori and the Will of the Wisps, sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest. Spoiler warning for the events of both games, by the way. So, the ending of the first game wrapped up the story pretty well, with the only open part being the egg hatching where we don't actually get to see the chick. Naturally, this is where the sequel starts off, with Ku being welcomed into the world and named. Nibel's story is complete, so this one largely takes place in a new setting, Niwen. The thing that sets Ori on their new path is a storm, likely a callback to the one from the first game that separated them from the spirit tree and led to them being found by Naru. The premise is similar to that of the first game, that being a forest losing its life force, although this time it's for different reasons. What makes Niwen different is that Ori gets to meet and interact with a variety of other characters, whereas in the first game they mainly just had Sign. Ori still collects Spirit Light, although instead of the ability tree, they gain such optional skills through equipping spirit shards and purchasing skills and upgrades. I, for one, definitely appreciated the autosave feature replacing the Soul Link mechanic from the first game. Since it's been discussed before, I'll also bring up the subject of Will of the Wisps' accused plagiarism from other games, mainly Hollow Knight. While some aspects are strikingly similar, I think it's unfair to say that Will of the Wisps stole or plagiarized anything. It's not like every game mechanic was completely changed to match Hollow Knight. Will of the Wisps kept its base system from the first game and simply integrated some new aspects into it. Ori is still very much its own thing, and the franchise existed before Hollow Knight. Art influences and inspires other art. That's just how it all works. Now for the villain of this story, Shriek. Her disposition is similar to that of Kuro, although Shriek's motivations are a bit less defined. Kuro went through the specific trauma of losing her chicks and sought to destroy the forces she blamed for it, while Shriek's emotional baggage seems more general and she isn't necessarily adding to the problem already at hand, at least until the end. There was the instance of her being rejected by other living owls because of her deformity, but that still didn't feel quite as impactful to me as Kuro's grief. At her core, Shriek is miserable and wants to take it out on others with the goal of making them just as miserable as her. Even when offered clemency by Ori, she refuses it, eventually leading to her own downfall. There's still a message in that, though, just as there was in Kuro's story of having the wrong response to grief. Ori's ultimate goal in this game is to find a specific number of wisps in different locations and return them to Niwen's spirit tree, mirroring how they sought out the three elemental forces to restore the light in Blind Forest. We learn that in this case specifically, there is a prophecy around Ori's mission, indicating that their position is not just a result of mere chance. This time, Ori also has their personal goal of first finding Ku and then doing what is necessary to heal her. It shocked me to learn that Ku was originally going to die when she was attacked by Shriek. The developers removed this aspect of the story because playtesters didn't like it, and I'm glad they did, because it would have detracted from the narrative, and the goal of healing Ku rather than fully bringing her back to life just feels more realistic and doable. I noticed that her breathing was animated to show that she was still alive, just in critical condition. Ori and the Will of the Wisps established more lore about the world that the story is set in. We learn that there are other forests like Nibel, which are sustained by a spirit light entity held in place by a spirit tree. We also learn that spirit trees are vulnerable to withering from old age and in such circumstances need to be replaced. This game's ending demonstrates that spirit trees do in fact come directly from spirits like Ori as we watch them become one. This makes sense given that spirits are born from spirit trees, and embracing a light such as Ser would allow them to transform into such a tree. It is significant to the story that Ori chooses to embrace the light and become Niwen's new spirit tree, even as they knew what kind of sacrifice they would have to make. I personally liked the reveal at the end that the narrator of this story was actually Ori as a spirit tree, as opposed to the same spirit tree from Blind Forest. It was kind of hinted at in the beginning with lines such as, "We named her Ku," and "Our story began," but the closing confirms that Ori is speaking in the first person. Ori retains their memories from their life as a spirit, as we can infer that all spirit trees do. This demonstrates that Ori is the same entity that we always knew them as, just in a different form. I think this sends a sound message that even as we grow and change, we're still the same on the inside, even if we one day become unrecognizable from our past selves. When we embrace this change and allow ourselves to flourish, we end up helping not only ourselves but those around us as well, who in turn help to nurture our growth from without as it continues into the future. I believe that becoming a spirit tree was a fitting fate for Ori as a character, since they have always been very kind and altruistic, and now they get to be the being that nurtures an entire forest. I also like the detail of Naru, Gumo, and Ku's faces being visible in the tree bark, perhaps representing how the people closest to us become a part of us even after they've passed on. All in all, Ori and the Will of the Wisps works well as a sequel, and is just a really great game in its own right. So what do you think of Ori and the Will of the Wisps? Do you believe that it's a good sequel and conclusion to the story of Ori and the Blind Forest? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check out the rest of my channel and subscribe if you're new here. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.